It's my great joy and privilege to introduce who many of you know, of course, either as a parishioner, a friend, or both. My friend, Corky Thacker, who I knew before I came to this church. We were friends from the East Side, and writing has always been one of Corky's gifts. It's been a dream of hers to write a novel, and you know that she struggled through cancer, and it gave her that determination to get this book done, and I had the privilege and honor to read it ahead of time. It's filled with spirituality, with recovery. Corky's very open about being in recovery. We have lots of AA meetings here at our church, and it's wonderful that in the book there's a connection between the person's church, which is an Episcopal Church, and slightly informed by her life here in this parish, and recovery, lots of laughter, and the book, the title, A Family of Choice, is so perfect for so many of us who really rely on those people in our lives who give us support and guidance. So it's really a joy to be here with all of you and with you as we are introduced to this wonderful book.
Thank you, Father Vincent. Thanks to you and to Leah also, who were among my beta readers, gave me feedback and encouragement, and also provided some blurbs that are published in the front of the book. Thank you all for coming. I'm really glad that you joined me here for the official launch party of Family of Choice, Raising Each Other. And so I thought I'd like to introduce you to the main characters by reading the first chapter. Mickey McHale rolled over and tried to grab the pillow to shield her eyes from the vicious sun, stabbing through the wooden slats of the shutters. Through the cocktail-flued throb of her head, she felt some confusion. The drapes in her stateroom on Looks of the Sea should have been closed. The pillow didn't budge. It was held fast beneath the dark head of curly pomade-greased hair that now shifted to turn and grin at her. "Hey, gorgeous. Welcome to morning." She tried to hide her surprise as she looked and took a view of a bedroom in what looked to be a tropical bungalow. "What time is it?" "Almost 9, he said. "Oh, shit!" Her cruise ship was to have departed from Key West at midnight. Worse, her company's award banquet for top account managers was scheduled in the Prime Specialty Steakhouse for 8 o'clock last night. She just stopped into Sloppy Joe's after her afternoon tour of Hemingway's house because she wanted to have a drink in the iconic author's favorite local pub. "My flight back to Cleveland leaves Miami at 11. How the hell can I get to the airport?" "Sorry, darling. There is no way in hell," said the owner of the handsome face. "It takes over 3 hours to drive to MIA. I don't have a car." He reached his arms toward her, but she was already on the other side of the bed, wrestling olive leggings over her long legs and slim hips. Diving into a jungle print tunic, she grabbed her jute bag and fled. In the back seat of the Uber, Mickey's lush black hair fell across her face, blocking her iPhone screen view, which was also impeded by what felt like a chunk of yesterday's mascara in her right eye. Her thumbs were flying wildly as she searched for an alternative flight home when the cell buzzed with a call from her boss. She thought about letting it go to voicemail, but answered. "Where the hell are you?" said Jack Benson. "And where were you last night? Some people thought you'd fallen overboard and wanted to alert the captain to call out the Coast Guard, but we were tied up with the ceremony. And I figured you just screwed up again. So I told them you were in your cabin with the norovirus. But now we're boarding the bus for the airport, and I need some answers." "I'm on my way, Jack, but I'll have to catch a different flight. It took a while to find a ride." "Great. Just great. I covered for you last night, but Mr. Cordero is concerned that our top dog honoree is missing, and the shuttle driver won't leave without a full head count." I won? First? Wow, that's fantastic. Can't you tell them I'm in the infirmary getting checked out and they won't let me leave the ship until I start puking? Jack sighed. That should work. And yes, you won. Your numbers are so good that I can't fire you. Yet. But if they slip, I've got a problem. So get your ass into the office Monday. On time. I'll set up an appointment for you with EAP in the morning. Mid-January's afternoon sun in Northeast Ohio wasn't as intense as Miami's, but it warmed Lillian Meadows' kitchen and her guests almost as well as her coffee. Brad pushed his 6'2" frame back from the round oak table and stretched like a contented cat. The cat under the table dislodged by his foot was not contented and departed in a blur of calico. The blueberry pancakes and sausage had tasted like the best food he'd ever eaten, and he was finally feeling some peace after quitting smoking a week ago. That was fabulous, Lil. I feel like a new man, he said. Now if I could just stop wanting a cigarette to go with this coffee. She responded with a smile. Just have the coffee. It's fine by itself, and you won't have to go outside on the porch. Still a bit chilly for that. Her phone rang before he could reply. Oh my, this is a surprise. She held it up so Brad could see the caller ID before she connected. Well, hello, Mickey. It's been a while. How's everything? I just won my company's top sales award. And, Lillian interrupted. And I missed the presentation, and the cruise ship, and my original flight home. And my boss is making an appointment for me with employee assistance. Says he'll fire me if he gets a chance. I just want to go back to meetings and really get into the 12 steps this time. I'm hoping they'll let me do outpatient treatment. Would you please give me another chance and be my sponsor again? Lillian paused. Well, she said, I'll say yes for now, and we'll see how it goes. Where are you now? Mickey brightened. Waiting to board my flight in Miami. I should land in time to make last call. Do they still meet at your church? Yes, but I don't go to that one now. I can't stay awake for evening meetings anymore, Lillian said. But Brad still goes there. You remember Brad. Shaking his blonde crew-cut head vigorously, he mouthed, No! Stretched his arm toward Lillian with his forefingers forming a cross to ward off a vampire. Lillian smiled. Brad will meet you there. He'll be your co-sponsor. I'm 77 now, so I think it's a good idea to have backup these days. Call me after you've gotten your treatment plan worked out, and we'll take it from there. And Mickey? Yes? It's good to hear from you. Welcome home. Brad didn't think it was so great to hear from her. How could you do this to me? He cried in only semi-mock anguish. You're my sponsor, and I thought you're this sweet pancake-making little lady, but you're evil. Methinks the lady doth protest too much, she replied. That woman is a train wreck. She's a bigger drama queen than my ex, and I thought he owned the crown. Who's being the drama queen now? Lillian's blue eyes twinkled. They were interrupted by a knock on the back door. A tall, red-haired woman walked through it laughing. I heard some commotion in here from out on the veranda, she said. What's going on? I'm helping Brad with quitting smoking, Sally, Lillian said with a grin. He needs to get out of himself, so he's going to assist me as a co-sponsor. Mickey's back. Sally raised her eyebrows and nodded to Brad. Oh boy, she'll give you a run for your money. With a dramatic, pained expression, he shrugged and grumbled. I was taught to always say yes when asked to do something in AA, especially if she's doing the asking. He jerked his face in Lillian's direction. Laughing, Sally said, I'll pray for you, Brad. Good, he said. I'm definitely going to need professional help with this. Please light a candle while you're at it. As he got out of his chair, he felt around out of habit, then remembered he didn't have a pack of cigarettes and lighter to restore to the pocket of his merino wool shirt. Grinning, he said, I could use another candle for the smoking thing. Well, ladies, I have some shopping and errands to get out of the way before the tornado rips through my quiet life. Oh, that's right, it's already pretty tattered from Oscar, move, and nicotine withdrawal. Like John McCain once said of bombing Afghanistan, this will just be making the rubble jump. As Brad made his exit, Lillian laughed and turned to Sally. So, are you here for church biz, program, or just a cup of coffee with a friend? The Reverend Sally Wise moved to the cupboard in the butler's pantry and retrieved a mug, and then grasped the pot and poured. Coffee, thank you. And the program sort of melds with my priestly duties. As your sponsor and spiritual advisor, I'm curious. Why would you let Mickey back into your life? Lillian considered the question while her friend of 15 years settled into a cane chair at the table. Well, I don't know how much help I can be, but she needs all she can get. I knew her mother from recovery meetings, and Mickey was just a toddler. Her parents got her into modeling then, to pay for a future college education, she said. So between having a stage mommy who was a sneak drinker when her husband was traveling for business, and a rageaholic pot-smoking daddy who was so emotionally abusive that his wife offed herself with pills before their child's 10th birthday, I'd say Mickey never had a chance of turning out any other way but warped. And alcoholic. Very alcoholic, Sally concurred, and impulsive with terrible judgment. Aren't we all when we come in? True, but she's a standout. Why stick Brad with her? I seldom take back a returnee who went back out while I was sponsoring her. I figure if a woman didn't get the message sufficiently for me to stay sober, perhaps she could better hear it from a different messenger, Lillian explained. Brad needs to get out of himself right now. Sally smiled. And she'll give him plenty to focus on instead. Plus, I'm guessing that you're not really feeling up to that level of challenge? Maybe not, but I really think this matchup could be good for both of them, Lillian mused. You know very well that God works miracles, often in mysterious ways. They shared a laugh, and then Sally pressed on. So, how are you, really? And how's the manuscript for Cat Hair coming along? Lillian hesitated as she spoke, groping for honest words. I'm feeling older. Missing George more each day, not less, and it's been 3 years already. I thought this book, My New Life as a Widow, would help me work through it, but it hasn't. Slouching, she put her elbows on the table and rested her chin on clenched hands. In fact, for the first time in my career, writing is hard. I can't find my usual humorous point of view about this particular woman's stage of life. Beyond the title, Cat Hair in the Bidet, there's little to give the reader even a mild snicker. How's your deadline? My editor wants the first 3 chapters next month. I have 2 so far, but I don't like them. You may be too close to the work to judge, Sally suggested. I'd be happy to give it a read if you'd like another perspective. Lillian smiled and straightened her slight figure back up in the chair. That's a great idea. Your insights were really helpful with Hairs in the Sink and Other Signs of Love. And just sharing the work in progress with you removed that sense of isolation I get when I'm deep in a project. A ray of strong afternoon sunlight broke through gray winter clouds and streamed in the window, illuminating newly etched creases added to the crow's feet and laugh lines that had characterized Lillian's face ever since Sally had known her. She also saw the fatigue in her friend's eyes and reached across the table to touch her hand. You know, though, you can't use humor to mask this. It can have its place, but you'll also have to allow yourself to feel the pain and to communicate that vulnerability with your readers, many of whom may be coping with the same thing. If you're willing to do this, I think it'll be your best work yet, and it can help a lot of women. Really? Yes. And you won't have to do it alone. I'll be with you, and so will God.
thank you, Corky, for reading us the first chapter of your novel. We're all very excited to get to read the rest of it. And as one of your beta readers, I'm excited to see what has changed and developed. One of the things that I loved when I was reading the book is that as an Episcopalian, a lot of the times I'm drawn to faith-centered books, and I want to read novels that actually discuss faith. Most of the time, if you're reading a book, it's very surface level and you don't get to learn about what a person believes, even if they're the main character. It was so relatable to me, especially with Lillian and Sally, to get to learn about their faith lives as well as everything else going on in life and how it all intersected. I've been telling people that this book is a love letter to the Episcopal Church because it practically features like another character in the book at times. But really, I'll tell you the secret, it's a love letter to the Church of the Ascension. One of the other things that I loved while reading this, and particularly in the 3.5-hour lunch we had after I finished, was getting to know that a lot of what's in the book has been informed not only by Corky's own life, but by the people that she knows, so that all of these stories have some grain of inspiration from truth in them was also really remarkable and fun, and I'm sure will foster lots of conversation between all of you and Corky as you read the book. At this time, do any of you have any questions you'd like to ask Corky? I'm happy to bring you the microphone.
Hi, my name is Mary, and I'm a longtime friend of Corky's through our professional lives. And as many times as we've discussed the book, I don't know that I've asked you this question. Can you talk a little bit about the motivation behind writing the book? Is it part of a healing process? Is it, I mean, what is your motive? What was your motivation in writing the book?
Actually, I got the drive to write a book like this many years ago. Some people may remember a movie called Leaving Las Vegas, where it was just really horrible and, grisly ending of, somebody who had, was drinking himself and did drink himself to death in a hotel room in Las Vegas, And I think I was probably in Chagrin Falls or someplace like that, where, when lights came up, I looked around at all of, the people in there who probably thought, and my perception was many of these people probably think, oh, see, that's alcoholism. That's an alcoholic, a degenerate living with this hooker in this hotel room. That's what alcoholism. I own a company, or I'm president of this, or, I'm a head of my church, whatever. And also, most literary depictions or movies focus on the drama that is in the active addiction. And to me, with, over 3 decades in recovery now, the drama is in recovery, okay? It's in real life. It's the real life situations and people learning and teaching each other, modeling the behavior as well, with their own challenges at whatever stage of recovery or age they are, of using spiritual principles to solve problems and get around the block in life one day at a time. So that's really what led to this.
What other questions do you have?
Corky, can I ask a follow-up? Because when I introduced it, I said that your struggle with cancer then led you to kind of get it done. There was a motivation there for you to actually, so can you link it to the idea you had long ago to actually feeling like this became a priority?
Well, it's interesting because I began this novel in a writer's workshop offered and taught by Scott Lax. I think he was going to be here, but he may not have been able to make it today. And that was in Chagrin Falls, and it was 6 weeks, July and August of 2018. And in the overall outline that we had to do for our project, Lillian was going to have a serious health issue. Well, in writing the book, it turned out that things were just getting too long, and so I did not get that entire story arc in there. In fact, that's what I'll be writing in next, because this has kind of a cliffhanger ending, and so, there'll be lots of things that, the complete story, and actually it could very well be a series. But so that will get more into that book. But as far as the motivation was, and I couldn't, between then, I was senior warden at the time, as many of you know, and I was on the finance committee and headed up the pledge drive at the same time. And so I didn't have time, once that got going, to really do any writing. I think between then and when I stepped down in January of 21 at our annual meeting, then I could really start writing. By that time I had gotten, I think, 5 chapters written. So between that time and finishing the initial manuscript was about 1.5 years. And the motivation was, it's like having been in deadline businesses all my career, as Mary knows, this gave a new connotation to the term deadline. And my Lenten discipline, by the way, will be, using, what God wants you to be. I'll be getting back more diligent on working on the next book, as opposed to, getting the launch and marketing type of stuff. So I'll be getting back into that.
I'm pretty loud, Leah.
Well, Dave wants to hear it for the video.
I'm pretty loud.
I just want to ask, we talk about book number 2. When can we expect it? I know you're not there yet, but...
Well, here's where I am. I have gotten the basic storylines mapped out for 2 of the 4 characters. So I'll be diving back into that. And by the way, writing this is a joy. I've loved the work that I did professionally. Did a lot of other things besides writing, but I love that kind of writing. This is though what I've wanted to do since I was a small child. I always wanted to write novels, but I also knew growing up that I really couldn't count on paying the rent doing that. So I used my writing, in other formats. This gives me joy, and so even doing the planning part of it is more joyful than the how do I get things organized and launched and checklist proof and whatever. So it'll be probably a year and a half, assuming how diligent I can be. And if you want to keep abreast and give me some impetus to be accountable to people, please go to my website. Go to the news page and sign up for my newsletter. Because if I know there are actual people that are going to be looking for the newsletter, then I can give some updates and some other background things from these characters or whatever, and they'll give me some reason to be able to say something about I have now the outline mapped out and with a timeline or whatever. So you can help me that way.
And then finally, we'll wrap up because we're getting close to 12:30, and you can all ask more questions during the book signing and the reception. But if we could close on Felix. You dedicated the book to him, and I know one of the characters is heavily influenced by him. Could you share a little bit about who Felix is to you?
Felix was my sponsor for, about seven years. It's my second sponsor. So that was like when our first sponsor grounded me very well in the steps, which are vital. But then the whole life on life's terms stuff started kicking in, and feelings and all kinds of stuff. And as I said, the dedication is, he reparented me. And so a lot of the whole family of choice kind of thing, there were things that we did together, with other people, in his recovery sphere. So there's a lot of him in Brad, but there's other stuff that goes back to Lillian's late sponsor, Sebastian. And also a lot of the things attributed to Sebastian are things that I've heard in recovery meetings, in different fellowships, over the years. There were kind of pearls of wisdom. And so any of those things, to that. I was very careful that it is fiction. I'm not plagiarizing anybody's real life. Bits and pieces of me are in all of them. Some of the things are very heavily my experiences, not all. So again, it is fiction, but it's what's been absorbed over the length of time of living a spiritual life, and also the grounding of the 12 steps, which work in many different fellowships, really helped me connect with the true messages that I heard in Scripture when I came to church. And really, frankly, before that, whoever was reading something might as well have been speaking Swahili, because it just didn't resonate with me on a visceral level. And also the whole idea of truly depending on God on a daily basis, through good times, through scary times, or whatever. I learned there. I always believed in God, and I believed in the loving God that the Episcopal Church really communicates. But there's a difference between believing in and trusting in.
Thank you again for sharing your book with us, Corky, and congratulations on such a huge accomplishment.
Thank you. Thanks to the Church of the Ascension and all of you for being a parish family. It's another family of choice that, again, is very helpful, and I do appreciate everybody's prayers. And why I'm on the prayer list is because, stage 4 cancer, and I'm in this for the long haul. So I attribute the fact that I'm doing as well as I'm doing. Yes, the doctors and the medicines have their role, but the fact that they're working as well as they are, and I'm feeling as good as I am 4 years into this, I attribute that to prayer.